Welcome to Overthinking Eurovision, from here in the Overthinking It control center that is totally real and not just a background. I'm Matt Rather. In 2015, we didn't love Belgium's song, but we totally dug the staging. The clockwork movements of the dancers, the stark black and white, and the singer's high-collared tunic were clearly supposed to evoke the 2002 Christian Bale action movie Equilibrium, set in a dystopia where emotions are outlawed, but hair gel is not. 2016 was a different story. Eurovision is many things, but it is seldom funky. What's the Pressure gave us a beat worth dancing to and inspired like 10 minutes of music theory. Seriously, click the link to learn the difference between a dominant 7 chord and a dominant 11 chord. Go on, I'll wait. You're not going to click, are you? Fine, your loss. But in 2017, Belgium is giving us the greatest gift of all, for they have selected a singer named Blanche. This is very exciting news because there are two things I love in this world: Eurovision and the Golden Girls. I am assuming that you Europeans are familiar with the Golden Girls, America's greatest cultural achievement of the late 1980s, with the possible exception of the Appetite for Destruction album. 4 single women of a certain age move into a Miami house together where they experience love, loss, and a prodigious amount of pastel floral prints. Why is this relevant? Because Rue McClanahan plays, you guessed it, Blanche. So guys, I've been studying all of B. Arthur's greatest one-liners from all 7 seasons, and I am completely prepared to make fun of Blanche's sex life pretty much until my voice starts to go. To start, the only time she saw... What's that? Okay, I have just been informed that, in fact, Blanche is... wait for it, 17 years old, which is troubling news for 2 reasons. First of all, she probably doesn't even know what it's like to have to get directions before you leave the house. You see this thing, Blanche? It's called a map, and it's printed on something called paper. But, more importantly, I cannot in good conscience insult a teenager with B. Arthur's brutal sexual put-downs.
Well, you've given some of your finest performances in back alleys.
So here's what I'm going to do. Instead of making fun of Blanche by comparing her to Blanche, I'm going to make fun of Blanche by comparing her to Rose, Betty White's character. Now, I know you may be thinking this is not as good because their names are not the same, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let this Golden Girls thing go. And because the only thing that makes a joke better is explaining it a little, let me fill you in on some backstory. Rose had a country bumpkin upbringing in Minnesota.
I mean, I was the one who thought up big squeaky toys for cows.
Anyway, Belgium's song for 2017 is called City Lights, which is ironic because when Rose was growing up, the nearest city was a 3-day dog sled ride away. Yeah, this is gonna work out just fine.
All alone in the danger zone.
The music video is set in a desolate concrete building of some kind. It could be a super depressing housing complex, an abandoned chemical weapons plant, or the canned tuna factory where Rose worked over the summers. But whatever it is being visited by a floating, glowing circle. And this video is like an episode of The X-Files where whoever designs the creatures went on strike, so they just got a paper lantern from IKEA and went with that. Now the light part I get. I mean, the song is City Lights. This is from the same literal style of video making that brought us Wrecking Ball. But for a song called City Lights, this is a very unurban environment. There are no people at all besides Rose. So let's listen to the lyrics.
All alone in the flame of doubt. Are we going to lose it all?
So there's a juxtaposition here of a young woman who's all alone, but also on the verge of emotional and physical intimacy. Rose suggestively asks, are we going to lose it all? And she is not referring to the Butterqueen competition that she only lost because someone tampered with her churn.
I was brilliant in the oral butter quiz. They couldn't even trip me up with a trick margarine question.
So this is a song about the edge of transformation. With that in mind, the video makes perfect sense. The space is dark and cold, but the light completely changes things. And look at that indoor river. At the beginning, this place was like the setting for a Saw movie, and now it's a boutique hotel I can't wait to overpay for. Fun story. When I was 12, I visited Disney World, and at Hollywood Studios, they had a backlot tour where you actually got to see the exterior of the Golden Girls' house. Well, I didn't understand that it was just for the exterior shots, so I ran out of the tram and straight into the house before the tour guide could stop me. It turns out Jim Varney was squatting in there, living in a sleeping bag and eating food he stole from a concession stand. He apparently came down to Disney to film part of Ernest Goes to Jail, and he just never left, hiding out in the Golden Girls' house. When security showed up to drag me out of there, they also found Jim, and they kicked us both out of the park. And you know what? Even though I had accidentally revealed his hiding place, he still signed my autograph book. But here's what I find interesting. The building doesn't stay lit up. At the end, the light disappears and everything goes back to the way it was, as dark as St. Olaf's famous black hole.
Oh, it was a lovely hole. Everybody in town would stand around and look in it.
And they say Hollywood is the entertainment capital of the world.
And so if the song is about a lonely woman looking for a connection, the video doesn't give us much hope it's going to be a lasting one. I mean, check out that final line.
Are we going to lose it all?
The first time I heard that lyric, it sounded sexual, but juxtaposed with the disappearing light, it sounds like a very different kind of loss. The end of a relationship, not the beginning of one. Maybe the song is about a one-night stand. Two people who find each other, make a connection, and then separate. Or as Rose would say,
You can let two angry mackerel fight it out in a purse, but don't ever plan on carrying that purse to a formal affair.
Belgium is looking pretty strong in the Eurovision betting odds. I guess you guys really like electropop, huh? So we'll see how that country bumpkin Rose does in the big city lights of Kiev. Subscribe to this channel for more Eurovision, and thanks for watching, everybody. But more importantly, thank you for being a friend. Sorry, there's just something that's always bothered me. So the bridge goes, if you threw a party and invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me. Guys, first of all, that's not how gifts work. Sometimes really valuable things come in small boxes, like jewelry or heroin. But even if she's talking about the most valuable gift, it's still a gross misunderstanding of how friendship works. If the Golden Girls have taught me anything, it's that friendship is the greatest gift of all, better than jewelry or heroin. Lovers come and go. Dreams blossom and die away. Sooner or later, we all end up at Shady Pines retirement home, telling stories about our cross-dressing son to a bunch of bored orderlies. But if we're lucky, if we are very, very lucky, we'll have a shoulder pad to cry on. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go watch all the Golden Girls, Golden Palace, and the last 2 seasons of Empty Nest where they added Estelle Getty.